Cheryl Reeves' actions during a recent game between Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever in Minnesota grabbed a lot of attention. This game was already expected to be intense, given the star power of Caitlin Clark and the competitive nature of the WNBA. But Reeves' behavior added even more drama to the event. Reeve, who is the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx, was seen wearing a shirt during the game that said, "Black Girls Rock." This small act was interpreted by many fans as a subtle dig at Caitlin Clark. Although wearing a shirt with that slogan might seem like a positive gesture of support for black women, in this context, it felt to some like a way to create division or tension, particularly because of Caitlin Clark's recent experiences with Reeve. This wasn't the first time Reeve had done something that could be seen as controversial. Earlier, she had used her social media account to promote upcoming games with the hashtag "The W is more than one player." At first glance, this hashtag seems harmless, even inspirational. However, it takes on a different meaning when you remember that Clark was recently left off the Team USA roster, a decision that surprised many people given her talent. Reeve, as the head coach of Team USA, was a key figure in that decision. Because of this, some fans have begun to suspect that Reeve has something personal against Caitlin Clark, and that her recent actions were not just coincidental. Despite all the tension and the apparent dislike coming from Reeve, Caitlin Clark stayed focused on what she does best, playing basketball. But it was clear from the very start that the Minnesota Lynx had come up with a specific game plan to try to stop her. The game began with the Lynx capitalizing on an early turnover by Clark, turning it into an easy layup. The Indiana Fever quickly responded with a shot from Aaliyah Boston, showing that they weren't going to be intimidated. Clark, determined to have an impact on the game, forced her way inside the paint for a tough basket shortly after. However, even though she was working hard, the Lynx defense was focused on her, holding her to just 2 points on one of 4 shots in the first quarter. While the Lynx were able to limit Clark's scoring, they couldn't completely stop her from contributing to her team. She made some fantastic assists, including one that led to an easy basket for the Fever. The first quarter ended with the Fever holding a narrow 20-19 lead.
Clark being hounded by Kayla. The grind step back three at the buzzer.
But things quickly changed in the second quarter. The Lynx started to find their rhythm, especially from beyond the three-point line. They knocked down several three-pointers, which helped them to start pulling away and keep the Fever at a distance.
Carlton just needs that much room. He is a Miami native. Okay.
Even though the Lynx shooters were playing well, it was the Fever's big players, like Aaliyah Boston and Nalissa Smith, who kept the game close. They dominated the offensive rebounds and controlled the paint, making it difficult for the Lynx to extend their lead. As the Fever's big players took control inside, the Lynx adjusted their defensive focus, packing the paint to limit their effectiveness. This shift in strategy gave Clark a little more room on the outside, where she took advantage by making a step-back three-pointer. She followed that up with an aggressive drive to the basket, tying the game at 38 points each. By halftime, the game was tied at 48, with the Fever's big players continuing to carry most of the scoring load, while Clark was still struggling to find her shot.
Shot clock dying for Clark.
The third quarter saw the Lynx regain the lead with some timely baskets. They also continued to play tough defense on Clark, roughing her up on several plays. At one point, Clark's frustration showed when she was called for a technical foul after accidentally hitting Cecilia Zandalicini in the face. Zandalicini had grabbed Clark's arm, but the referees didn't seem willing to call fouls in Clark's favor, which added to her frustration.
We have a technical foul on the play for the contact to the face on Caitlin Clark.
The Lynx were using every tactic they could to keep Clark off her game, and for a while, it seemed to be working. With the Fever down by 7 points going into the fourth quarter, it was clear that Clark needed to break out of her shooting slump for her team to have a chance to win. Right on time, Clark seemed to wake up and return to form. She started the final quarter by making a difficult shot with a defender right on her. A few moments later, she thrilled the Minnesota crowd by making a move that left her defender off balance and on the floor. This move clearly upset Reeve, who quickly called a timeout to try to calm her team down and refocus their efforts. After the timeout, the Lynx came out strong, making a couple of three-pointers to stay close. However, every time the Lynx scored a big basket, Kelsey Mitchell was there to respond to the Fever, making sure they stayed in the lead and didn't let the Lynx take control. Mitchell's timely scoring was crucial in keeping the Fever ahead. With the game tied at 71, Clark made a key play that would help determine the outcome of the game. She used a screen to draw the defense, then attacked the closeout and made a smart pass to Boston, who scored to give the Fever a small lead. The Lynx answered with a three-pointer to cut the lead to 1 point, but Mitchell stepped up again for the Fever. She knocked the ball out of Smith's hands in the final moments, securing an 81-74 victory for her team. Mitchell led the Fever with 21 points, and Boston had a great game with 17 points and 16 rebounds. Even though Clark struggled for most of the game, she came through in the fourth quarter, finishing with 17 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. Reeves' attempts to throw Clark off her game might have worked for a while, but in the end, Clark showed why she is one of the best players in the league. Despite all the tension and drama, Clark proved that she could rise above it and lead her team to victory. After weeks of anticipation, Caitlin finally gets her revenge against the coach who dislikes her simply because she's talented and beloved by fans. During the post-game interview, it's clear that Coach Reeve has been humbled and now has no choice but to acknowledge Caitlin's greatness and the powerful influence she has on the league. Now that Caitlin and Coach Reeve have finally settled their differences, do you think Coach Reeve will choose Caitlin to join Team USA as a replacement for the injured Diana Taurasi? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.